What could Old Trafford actually look like if Jim Ratcliffe, after all the feasibility studies, decides, you know what, we're going to refurbish Old Trafford. We're going to make the new capacity above 80,000. It should be way above 80,000, but we're going to get a new capacity. What could it look like? I'm going to run through a fantastic video from Bondibot. If you haven't watched him already, I'll leave the link in the description. I'm not going to run through the full video in this one, but I'm going to show you the sort of 4 options, really, with the visualizations that he's created, the 3D animations, because it brings it to life. And it lets you kind of see what it could look like. I don't think anybody's really going to like the actual visualization of a completely refurbished Old Trafford with a brand new exterior. But let me know what you think in the comments. Leave A, B, C, or D as your option after watching this. But let's get into it, because I think this really is a fantastic video that sort of allows us to imagine a bit clearer, because, well, we've got the animations to look at. But this one here, option A, let's start with this one. This one here is the South Stand. Dramatic music here. I'm liking this, by the way. Makes the video 10 times better. But this is the South Stand finally getting built on, because we know full well it's been that railway line that stopped it. But this is what it could look like here. And that in isolation on its own is pretty awesome. Seeing all 4 stands of Old Trafford the same height, the same size, the quadrants built up as well. How much capacity do you think that would actually add? What was it, like 75,000? Call it 75,000 right now. Would that add 10? I think it probably would. Maybe even a little bit more. Anyway, let's watch a bit more. It looks class. Helicopter flyover noise. I've got to appreciate that. But this is something that hasn't been possible ever really at Manchester United because of that railway. You can see it down there, built as a pathway that people can walk over as well. Little fly-through coming here too. Watch this. Chopper fly-through. As I said, it's a cracking video if you've not seen it before. Really is class. Down there is built in a new train station. Stop for, specifically, Manchester United. I remember going to, random story here, I remember going to PSV. You know the game where Luke Shaw broke his leg? And then you get shepherded out of the away end and you get shepherded straight down some stairs, straight on a train, straight back to Amsterdam. I didn't know that it sort of existed. Maybe it could. Maybe it could. It's an interesting concept. But that overall is concept A, right? So concept A would be the South Stand finally getting redeveloped, because they're talking about how new technologies exist, right? That means that Manchester United can actually build on it. And that means that we can go back there. I don't know whether we could do it with a residential there, but speaking of residential problems, kind of exist even more in this one. And yeah, I know it looks like a bedpan, all right? I'm not specifically talking about the look of this, but as much as option A might be beautiful, right, it doesn't really address the roof. And I think the roof's a big problem at Old Trafford overall. If you're looking at long-term plans for the expansion of Old Trafford, I think the roof kind of needs to be redone too. So this is just an example of what it could look like. I don't think it should look anything like this at all, if I'm honest. But keeping the stands, a new roof, a new exterior, this wouldn't be the one that I would choose. What do you think about that? I mean, I think I know what the answers are going to be in the comments. All right. I've already done certain videos like this before. But then option C, I actually think of all of them, right? Let me go towards option C, right? Because option C, well, option A plus B, same thing, is actually doing a bit of both. And I think this might be where there's an interesting conversation, right? So this is not only expanding Old Trafford, so building over the South Stand, but renovating the outside too. And if Jim Ratcliffe says that it's the concept of renovating or refurbishing Old Trafford could cost in the region of £1 billion, I don't think just building over the railway and expanding the South Stand would cost £1 billion. It would probably be an entire refurbishment, so a new roof, expansion at the same time. Now, as I said, while the design here may not be what anybody wants, right? Or maybe there are some people in the comments. Nah, I love the steel at the top of Old Trafford, the white steel. For me, it's synonymous with what Old Trafford is. And I would love in some way, shape or form, even if they were to completely refurbish and redesign the roof and they decide that refurbishing Old Trafford is the route they want to go, I'd love them to keep that in the design architecturally into the new one, rather than something, as I said, that looks like a bit of a bedpan. Because it does. I mean, a pretty expensive bedpan. And also, surely you can't build that close to houses. What's that? It's like the length of a garden away from a brand new, that just seems unreasonable and unfeasible. And I don't think you're going to be able to buy up all these. I mean, maybe they would try. I don't know. Maybe. I suppose if this whole, just thinking out loud here, this whole concept of the whole area being renovated, there's maybe 5,000 new homes there. They could be promised new homes there as part of this, but that would be on the premise that the new homes were built at the same time that the Old Trafford is redeveloped. I said lots and lots of questions, but it's an interesting conversation. But I do like the idea of expanding and refurbishing. I don't like the design, but that idea makes sense. And then the last design down here, right, is this one. No thanks. No thanks. Anyway, this is the last one, right? Option C, if you want to call it. This isn't a rebuild. This would be a brand new stadium not just in the car park, but in the space and the land that Manchester United own. And again, this is just a visualization of what it could look like. It's not to say it would look like that. Again, man, Bondibot, you love the bedpans, man. You love the bedpans. But this idea here of building a stadium there and then Old Trafford being redesigned into something that maybe the women's team and the academy teams could use. A smaller stadium. And that space being repurposed. So they're the options, really. Option A is the one where the South Stand finally gets built over. There's a railway tunnel and all of Old Trafford kind of equal size stands. Well, not equal size stands, but North and South finally equal. I don't think that'll be enough on its own. I think option B looks horrendous. The bedpan style. I think option C, well, I'm going to call it option C. He calls it option A plus B. But an expansion of Old Trafford over the railway, which you can't see down there, and also at the same time, a new design. So not just building the South Stand, because I think the roof needs doing. I think because you've got a big slanted roof, if you lift that roof up, maybe lift it a bit more, you can expand upwards as well as over the South Stand. Because I think if Manchester United are going to be getting a new stadium, this new stadium, in my opinion, has to be 90,000 plus minimum. I think it should be 100. And if it's a new stadium, then definitely 100. But expanding Old Trafford, refurbing Old Trafford, I don't know whether that's going to be possible to get that from 75 to 100. That is a big jump. 75 to 90, probably possible if you expand over the railway and expand the South Stand, and you maybe increase the size of the height of the roof, and you get extra seats elsewhere. Which one of those options? It's an interesting conversation. Big up to Bondibot for making that video, by the way. As I said, the link is in the description. I think it's called to imagine. It's called to visualize. And I think that's the important thing here that Bondibot has done, is visualized it. They're the options on the table. Leave a comment and let me know what you think.